JavaScript promises. Promises represent the eventual completion, or failure, of an asynchronous operation and allow us to write cleaner and more readable asynchronous code. A promise can be in one of three states: pending, fulfilled, or rejected. When a promise is pending, it is waiting for the operation to complete. Once it is fulfilled, it means the operation succeeded, and if it is rejected, it means the operation failed. Creating promises. To create a promise, we use the promise constructor, which takes a single function argument called the executor. The executor function has two parameters, resolve, and reject. The resolve function is used to fulfill a promise, while the reject function is used to reject it. Resolving promises. Pause. 1. Once a promise is created, we can resolve it using the resolve function provided by the executor. Resolving a promise means the asynchronous operation succeeded. We typically pass the resolved value to the resolve function, which can be accessed using the then method. Rejecting promises. If an error occurs during the asynchronous operation, we can reject the promise using the reject function provided by the executor. Rejecting a promise indicates that the operation failed. We can handle the rejected promise using the catch method. Chaining promises. Promises can be chained together using the then method, allowing us to perform sequential operations or transformations on the resolved value. Each then call returns a new promise, which enables us to chain multiple asynchronous operations. Handling errors with promises. To handle errors in promise chains, we can use the catch method at any point in the chain. If any promise in the chain rejects, the control is passed to the nearest catch method. We can also use the finally method to perform cleanup operations regardless of the promise's state. Using promise.all. Promise.all allows us to wait for multiple promises to fulfill or reject. It takes an array of promises and returns a new promise that is fulfilled with an array of resolved values when all the promises in the array are fulfilled, or rejected with the reason of the first rejected promise. Async, await with promises. S8 introduced async, await, a syntactic sugar for working with promises. It allows us to write asynchronous code that looks and behaves more like synchronous code. We can use the async keyword to define an async function and the await keyword to pause the execution until a promise is fulfilled or rejected.